When people have a near-death experience, they'll often describe something like the light at the end of the tunnel. It's a little pinprick of light shining through the darkness. I saw that light every day for something like 2 years of my life. You see, for about that amount of time, something like 10 or 15 years ago, I thought I was dead. I didn't just start the Moonlit Ghost because I have an arbitrary fascination with ghosts. I started it because I am the Moonlit Ghost. I would sleep outside under the moon, write about how I saw myself as intangible. That's not a metaphor, it's what I saw. I was outside of my body, walking around just over my head as if I were stuck in a third-person shooter for years. And this body, was see-through and colorless. During that time, I saw ghosts, demons, horrible pain, darkness, the likes of which no one knows, really, unless you've been to hell, really. But all the while I was going through this, for whatever reason, there was a light. I just had to think of it, and it was there, silent and sure, shining through what I called my curtain. You might think that that would be a boon, and to be sure it is, and it was, but it's not what you would think. It gave me hope for light, beauty, truth, and love in spite of all I was experiencing. But it was difficult to bear in a different way. It burned. Not really physically, but I don't really know how to explain it. It was a very dark time in my life, and I knew what I was experiencing was abnormal, but I couldn't share it with anyone at the time, and only recently have I opened up about it to certain people. My therapist said that I experienced a prolonged dissociative state. Dissociative state, hell, what's the difference? And I want to state clearly that I wasn't on drugs. I didn't even drink alcohol. This was something that was going on with me that was inexplicable. I couldn't explain, regardless of what was going on. And as I've kind of grown out of that, I have a greater understanding of what happened and why it happened, which I'm not going to explain in great detail at this time, but at the time I wanted to make sure that I had succinctly somehow capture that experience. I wanted to record it, and so I wrote what you're about to hear. I wrote this something like 10, 15 years ago. I still, to this day, I don't know what years this happened, but it was a number of years ago. I wrote it way back then, but I've tweaked it and changed it over the years to kind of just make sure it really illustrated what I wanted to capture. So, here goes. The curtain. Through the sliver of my curtain, weary mind so damned uncertain of how long in which I've entertained that dreadful state. Have I slept an hour or a day? Oh my God, why, I pray? Through that slit a darkened gray, I resigned, accept my fate, and with a sigh I slowly blink and think I cannot much more than wait, and embrace this listless misery of which I despise, and which I hate. Then I, within a faint repose, forget my troubles and my woes. But terrors come between my blinks, as euphoria consumes my brain. I cry, oh my, I've gone insane. I shout but shout in utter vain, for my ghost already winks. And troubles before the old are gone arise again. He taunts and sings, as if toying with my soul he squeaks. No rest tonight, for you, methinks. I scream for help, but not one ear shall hear the horrors that I fear. For sleep, the thing I pray e'en God I might, is where the very devil waits with all his damned and dreary fates. And through his cracked and crumbling gates it seems as though I fight with those fiends who haunt my dreams. I scratch and kick and bite throughout the lonely, unknown halls of which I roam within the night. And ghastly games these ghosts perfect, yet awareness of their rules reflect within my thoughts like rippling seas, retaining codes from ancient lore, remaining rote forever and forevermore. 'Tween endless scales I note the score. What an abysmal symphony. I wail and weep, they hiss and creep through brush at night, 2E3. My God, oh my queen, these ghouls have plainly captured me. Then my bleary eyes are blessed with that gift of needed rest. The phantoms fled, for I've lost faith, and their game I've grimly lost. The sliver now ripples back and forth its blinding cost. Oh, now the world in which I've crossed, its majestic light doth flare from the rising sun, so beautiful, so childly like and fair. But the morning light into my eyes, my harrowed soul can hardly bear. Time to rise from my sleep. My bloodshot eyes can't help but weep, for all the night I've waged a war with beasts who swim in Hades' river, whose skin is as that grayish sliver of my curtain, whose waves deliver the ghouls of whom I can't ignore. A portal from the steps of Styx to the conscience of my core. This thing I simply cannot fix, this devilish science I deplore. Night after night I shrink unceasing, in the shades the devil's leasing, my strength to choose becomes a chore. With every night's blessings dearth, I question my own royal birth. Am I truly of such little worth? What is my life so even for? May ghouls, then, become my friends, so with them I build rapport. Upon my face a conniving grin, I simply can't return from thence, no, not at all, anymore. So I became grayish-skinned, but the only thing that I had sinned was embracing those without a shell. But that's not my fault, no, God, please. I shout upon my fading knees, I thrash and cry, I'm not as these, referring to my friends who fell. Where art thou, God? I duly cry. Well, in Magog my soul hath dwelt. I am here, a devilish sigh, through the mists of brackish hell. You're not as those who flood your halls, or those who hang upon your walls. If not, it's hard to tell, I say, you apart those in your home, for you like them listlessly roam through the nights, damned and weary, afraid of lights and skin of gray, and just like them afraid and fearing, when knowing not the night from day. And you thrash amidst those tears, as your light drifts away. But I still pray, please forgive my ugly lust. But your God is true and just, and they all like you beg as such, yearning for a true embrace with cringing, torn, and ugly face, saying, succor me, I've had enough. And you bleed with blistering sores, with nothing more than a hope thereof, and reaching forth through endless shores while vanishing for those you love. Those who love but are confined by the storm that is their mind, they reach with hope but no one wants to gently love a grisly ghost, e'en though some compassion boast, and with their words offer toast, but to those souls they are just taunts, for they see their subtle hearts and from their lips can tell their plots, as if the curtain which divides the worlds shews their truths in the air's thoughts. And as I fiddle with these locks, rattling round Pandora's box, oh, this cruel paradox, that states most have no sliver perchance within the curtain of their mind, as an imperfect, subtle rhyme linking the hellish and divine to this world's grand expanse. But in my heart these angels sing, while on their wings these demons dance, gifting presents wrapping past. I'm glancing oft into this dissonant looking glass, just to witness us all repentant sin, oscillating ad nauseum, numbing us with its droning din, though even still a tranquil and angelic voice ascends, Yon those visceral curses that ring and chirp like bells and birds. It's in my ears, oh perfect words, rising o'er the cacophony and resurrecting my waning dreams, arrayed in beauty not uncertain, while love unfeigned breaks through this earthen crust of lies and pain and broken hearts. And I swear I died in this war, yet I tried to win it for the sake of truth forevermore. But the victory tends to grace the threads on in this other space. I'm reaching hither through its folds, but all that glitters is not gold, for all is vanity. E'en this spoke the preacher, David's son, and left me with this tragic burden. 'Twas a night I tried to fly to the other side of my damned curtain. This world is made up of atoms and molecules, but it's also made up of light and darkness. There is such a thing as good, and there is such a thing as evil. And I implore you to search within yourself and find that good wherever it is, and let it shine forth out of you. You see, that light that I saw every day for 2 years, after a while, I realized that it wasn't a light at the end of the tunnel. What I was seeing was me. It was my true self. After I was stripped away of everything that I had in this life, my body, the things I cared about, I was a shell, and I could see who I truly was if you take away everything else. It didn't take me long to realize at that point that if I had this divine spark of wondrous light inside of me, that means that you do too. Thank you for supporting the Moonlit Ghost.